the dead of night, high above the clouds, there moves a shadow, silent, invisible, deadly. It crosses borders unseen, flying where no radar can trace it. For most of the world, it doesn't even exist until the strike is already complete. This is the story of the B-2 Spirit, America's most mysterious and feared aircraft, the stealth bomber that changed the face of modern warfare. But this story isn't just about an airplane. It's about the vision, the secrecy, the obsession, and the technological daring that brought this ghost to life. A creation born not in war, but in the fear of one, the Cold War, the birth of a phantom. The Second World War had ended with a flash brighter than the sun. The atomic bomb ended an era and began another. By the late 1940s, two superpowers stood face to face, the United States and the Soviet Union. Each was armed with enough firepower to end humanity. But to deliver that firepower, you needed one thing: a bomber that could reach the heart of the enemy. At first, America relied on the B-29 superfortress, the same bomber that dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Then came the B-36 Peacemaker, a giant of the skies with 6 propellers and 4 jet engines. It could fly from one continent to another, but it was slow, easy to detect and vulnerable. By the 1950s, the Soviets were building powerful radar networks. They could spot bombers hundreds of miles away. The US Air Force knew that the next generation of bombers couldn't just be fast, they had to be invisible. The race for stealth had begun, the dream of the flying wing. Long before the B-2 ever flew, one man had already imagined it. His name was Jack Northrop, a visionary aircraft designer. Northrop believed the most efficient shape for flight was a wing, and nothing else. No tail, no fuselage, no drag. Just a pure flying surface. In the 1940s, he built a series of experimental aircraft known as the flying wings. They looked alien, smooth, flat, and futuristic. His designs were decades ahead of their time, but the military wasn't ready. Flight stability was poor, control was difficult, and the computers needed to keep such an aircraft steady didn't exist yet. By 1950, the flying wing program was cancelled. The prototypes were destroyed. Jack Northrop's dream seemed buried forever. But fate had other plans. The Cold War shadows. Through the 1950s and 60s, both superpowers raced to outdo each other. The United States developed jet bombers like the B-47 Stratojet and the B-52 Stratofortress, long-range, nuclear-capable giants that could fly around the world. The B-52 became the backbone of America's nuclear deterrent. It was fast, reliable, and deadly, but not invisible. By the late 1960s, radar systems were improving at an alarming rate. Surface-to-air missiles, or SAMs, were becoming the greatest threat to high-altitude bombers. The skies over North Vietnam proved it. Dozens of American bombers were shot down. Something had to change. The Pentagon realized that future wars wouldn't be won with numbers, but with technology. And that meant one thing: stealth. The secret race for invisibility. In the early 1970s, the concept of radar evasion wasn't science fiction anymore. Mathematicians had discovered formulas showing that radar reflections could be reduced by shaping an aircraft's body at certain angles. It wasn't about paint or camouflage, it was about geometry. In secret, Lockheed's Skunk Works, the same group that had built the U-2 spy plane, developed something extraordinary: the F-117 Nighthawk, the world's first operational stealth aircraft. Its design looks strange, a collection of sharp, angular surfaces that scattered radar beams away instead of reflecting them back. When the F-117 flew in the late 1970s, it was invisible to most radar. But it had limitations: small size, limited range, and no nuclear payload. The Air Force wanted something bigger, something that could strike anywhere on Earth, carry nuclear weapons, and still remain unseen. Thus, in the shadows of the Cold War, the Advanced Technology Bomber Program was born. The birth of the B-2. In 1981, the US Air Force awarded the contract to Northrop. Jack Northrop, now retired and frail, lived long enough to see his dream reborn. In 1980, engineers from Northrop revived the concept of the flying wing. But now they had the one thing he never did: computers. Computers could make the inherently unstable flying wing stable in flight. They could adjust the control surfaces thousands of times per second. The result: a massive, stealthy aircraft that could carry heavy payloads across continents. The B-2 Spirit. The project was classified top secret. Its budget, location, and progress were hidden from the public and even from most government officials. It would take almost a decade before the world saw it. Designing the invisible. To make an aircraft invisible to radar, every angle, curve, and surface had to be calculated. Traditional planes reflected radar waves like mirrors. The B-2's surface, by contrast, was designed to absorb and deflect them. Its wings blended smoothly into the body. There were no vertical stabilizers, no sharp edges, and no exposed engines. The engine intakes were hidden on the top of the wing, shielded from ground radar. Exhaust from the engines was cooled before leaving the aircraft to reduce infrared signature. Even the paint, known as radar absorbent material, or RAM, was a classified formula that helped absorb radar energy. Everything about the B-2 screamed one word: stealth, $1 billion secret. The project was so secret that only a handful of people truly knew what it looked like. The total cost spiraled beyond imagination, nearly $2 billion per aircraft, including research and development. But for the US government, the B-2 wasn't just a plane. It was a symbol, a weapon so advanced it could guarantee American dominance for decades. Even Congress didn't know all the details. Engineers worked behind closed hangars at Plant 42 in Palmdale, California, under constant security. Every part of the B-2's design was compartmentalized. One team might work on the wing structure without knowing how it would attach to the fuselage. It was like building a jigsaw puzzle in the dark. The first flight. On July 17, 1989, after years of secrecy, the world finally caught a glimpse. The first B-2 Spirit, gleaming black and alien, took off from Palmdale and soared into the desert sky. To onlookers, it was like something out of science fiction, a flying shadow gliding silently above the earth. Its wings stretched over 170 feet wide, yet it moved with grace and stability. The future had arrived. Reporters were stunned. Some called it the Black Bat. Others simply called it the stealth bomber. Jack Northrop's last smile. Not long before the public unveiling, a special visitor was brought into the Northrop facility. It was Jack Northrop, the man who had dreamed of the flying wing half a century earlier. Now in a wheelchair, old and weak, he was shown a scale model of the secret project. When he saw it, tears filled his eyes. He whispered, "Now I know why God kept me alive all these years." Just a few months later, he passed away, but his dream took flight forever. Into the future, the B-2 entered operational service in 1997, assigned to Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. Each aircraft received a name: Spirit of America, Spirit of Kansas, Spirit of Missouri. They were more than bombers. They were ghosts in the sky, capable of crossing oceans undetected, striking targets thousands of miles away, and returning home without the enemy ever realizing they were there. The B-2 had become the ultimate embodiment of Cold War strategy. Strike first, remain unseen, and never be caught. Above the vast expanse of the American heartland, where the desert meets the horizon and the sky seems endless, a shadow drifts silently. It moves like a whisper of smoke, bending to the contours of the air, escaping the gaze of radar and the reach of human sight. This is the B-2 Spirit, a phantom born of imagination, fear, and ambition, a machine that defies conventional design, a ghost that embodies the ultimate power of invisibility. But what makes it so elusive? How does an aircraft, larger than a football field in wingspan, vanish into the sky as if it were never there? To understand, we must step into the mind of its creators, the halls of secret laboratories, and the invisible corridors of cutting-edge physics and engineering, the shape of shadows. From the earliest sketches, the B-2 was meant to look unlike any other aircraft. It is a flying wing, pure and unbroken, with no vertical tail to betray its position, no fuselage to scatter radar waves. Every curve, every angle was calculated with precision, using algorithms that could only exist in the digital age. This was geometry turned into warfare, a blend of art and science that produced an aircraft both terrifying and beautiful. Engineers called it the shape of stealth. They knew that traditional aircraft reflected radar like mirrors, revealing their location across hundreds of miles. The B-2, by contrast, absorbs, deflects, and confuses radar waves, turning itself into a ghost that passes unseen through the sky. Its wings, stretching more than 170 feet, sweep smoothly into the fuselage, blending metal and shadow in a seamless dance. Radar and the science of invisibility. Stealth is not magic, it is physics. Radar works by sending pulses of energy and measuring what bounces back. A conventional aircraft, no matter how fast or high it flies, is easy to detect because it reflects those pulses. The B-2 fights detection on three fronts. Shape. Every surface is angled to scatter radar waves away from the source. Materials. Special radar-absorbent coatings soak up signals rather than reflecting them. Heat management. The engines are buried and the exhaust cooled, reducing the infrared signature that thermal sensors might see. The result is an aircraft that can fly over the densest air defenses and remain effectively invisible. A plane that can slip past enemies' eyes while still carrying a payload capable of leveling cities or neutralizing hardened bunkers. The heart of the Phantom. Beneath its smooth exterior lies an engine room of immense complexity. 4 General Electric F118 GE100 turbofan engines, hidden within the wing, hum quietly. Their design prevents heat from escaping upward, shielding the bomber from infrared sensors. They are powerful, efficient, and silent in the sense that they make no more noise than a whisper at altitude. The B-2's cockpit is another marvel. 2 seats for the pilot and mission commander sit behind reinforced glass and a canopy that blends seamlessly into the wing. Inside, advanced avionics manage every function: navigation, radar avoidance, communications, weapons targeting. Every button, screen, and lever is optimized to reduce the mental load of flying a machine of such scale and secrecy. Weapons of the invisible age. Though it glides like a phantom, the B-2 is no mere symbol. It is a weapon of extraordinary destructive potential. Its internal bomb bays can carry up to 40,000 pounds of ordnance, hidden from view until the moment of release. It carries conventional weapons like JDAMs, GPS-guided bombs that hit targets with pinpoint accuracy. It also carries the most devastating nuclear weapons in the American arsenal, the B-61 and B-83 bombs, capable of leveling entire cities. In the past, these weapons were delivered by fleets of bombers. Now, the B-2 can carry them alone, undetected, across continents. Even in conventional warfare, the B-2's impact is decisive. It can strike command centers, radar installations, air defenses, and infrastructure in a single mission, often changing the course of conflict before the enemy realizes what has happened. Training the shadows. A machine like the B-2 demands pilots of extraordinary skill. They are selected not just for their flying ability, but for mental endurance, precision, and composure under pressure. Mission simulations can last days, and every flight is meticulously planned. Pilots must navigate thousands of miles over hostile territory, maintain complete situational awareness, and execute complex maneuvers while ensuring the aircraft remains undetectable. Even the smallest mistake, a miscalculated angle, an improperly configured system, can compromise the bomber's stealth. The pilots become extensions of the aircraft itself, part of the living system that blends human skill with technological brilliance. The making of a phantom. The construction of a B-2 is as secretive as its missions. Every component is fabricated under strict security measures. Workers must sign non-disclosure agreements, operate under surveillance, and handle parts whose purpose is often unknown to them. Even the paint is a high-tech composite, applied in specialized facilities and maintained with precision. Each B-2 is assembled slowly and carefully, taking years from blueprint to first flight. And when it finally takes to the air, it does so as a singular creation, a shadow, a weapon, a marvel of human ingenuity. A living legend. The B-2 Spirit is more than an aircraft. It is a statement, a message to the world that power need not always be visible, that dominance can be exercised without a roar. It embodies the intersection of science, art, and ambition. It is stealth perfected, a dream realized, a shadow made real. And yet, for all its technical perfection, it remains human at its core. Every flight depends on the minds of engineers, the skill of pilots, and the courage of those who maintain it. Without them, the Phantom could not exist. The first time the B-2 Spirit took to the skies, it was a whisper of a dream. But soon, that whisper became a roar, not in sound, but in effect. Its true purpose was not in hangars or blueprints, but in the theatre of war, where invisibility is the greatest weapon of all. The world would see the B-2 not in parades or air shows, but in missions that few knew existed. From the shadows, it became a decisive player, reshaping the way wars were fought. Kosovo. The Ghost enters combat. In 1999, the skies over the Balkans became a battleground. The Yugoslav air defenses were among the most sophisticated in Europe, with radar and missiles capable of shooting down conventional bombers. The US Air Force sent the B-2 Spirit into this deadly environment, flying thousands of miles from Missouri to the heart of Europe. These missions lasted over 30 hours, non-stop, with aerial refueling along the way. Pilots navigated the night skies with precision, while the bomber's stealth systems rendered it virtually invisible. When bombs fell on Serbian military targets, few realized what had struck them. Command centers, ammunition depots, radar installations, all neutralized with uncanny accuracy. The B-2 had proven itself, a shadow that could strike anywhere, at any time, and remain unseen. Iraq. Precision and power. The early 2000s brought the B-2 into the deserts of the Middle East. During the Iraq conflicts, it became the spearhead of strategic bombing campaigns. Unlike earlier wars, where carpet bombing often caused collateral damage, the B-2's precision weapons allowed for surgical strikes. Pilots could target specific buildings, command posts, or hardened bunkers without endangering civilians nearby. Flying across oceans, over hostile territory, and into heavily defended airspace, the B-2 demonstrated not just its invisibility, but its ability to project instantaneous power across continents. Each mission reinforced the idea that wars could be won not just by numbers, but by stealth, strategy, and technological superiority. Afghanistan. Shadows in the mountains. Afghanistan presented a different challenge. The terrain was jagged, mountainous, and unpredictable, yet the B-2's long-range capabilities and stealth allowed it to operate effectively where no other aircraft could. High above the Hindu Kush, the bomber glided silently, unseen by enemy radar and untouched by the harsh winds below. Its payload struck Taliban and Al-Qaeda positions with devastating accuracy. For the first time, the world saw the B-2 not just as a nuclear deterrent, but as a practical instrument of modern conventional warfare, Libya and beyond. In 2011, during NATO operations in Libya, the B-2 returned to the skies, projecting American power across continents once again. It demonstrated its ability to operate from domestic bases, fly thousands of miles, and strike with precision, all while evading enemy detection. By now, it was clear. The B-2 was no longer a secret experiment. It had become a cornerstone of modern air strategy, a platform that could alter the balance of power without the world even knowing it was there. The human element behind every mission was not just technology, but people. The pilots, engineers, and mission planners became part of the B-2's life, merging human skill with mechanical perfection. Pilots trained relentlessly, simulating every scenario, from refueling over oceans to dodging radar networks and executing precise strikes. They learned to read the aircraft like a living creature, to feel its responses and to anticipate its needs. Mission planners studied maps, intelligence reports, and satellite images for weeks before a flight. Every detail was calculated: wind speeds, radar patterns, timing, and escape routes. The B-2, as much as a weapon, was a reflection of human ingenuity, discipline, and courage. The shadow in action. A B-2 mission is a symphony of precision. The aircraft rises silently from its hidden hangar, engines hidden, wings slicing the sky. It crosses oceans, evading radar and thermal detection. Over enemy territory, bombs are released with exact timing and pinpoint accuracy. By the time the world even knows something has happened, the bomber is already gone, disappearing into the night as if it were never there. Each successful mission reinforces a simple truth. In the age of advanced warfare, invisibility is power. Strategic impact. The presence of the B-2 changes the calculus of war. Nations cannot ignore it, for its very existence shapes strategy, diplomacy, and defense planning. It is a weapon of deterrence, a force multiplier, and a symbol of technological dominance. Even a single B-2 in the skies over a region can force adversaries to reconsider their positions, their defenses, and their plans. It is a reminder that in modern conflict, the unseen often carries the greatest weight, challenges and costs. But power comes at a price. Each B-2 costs billions of dollars to build and maintain. Operations require meticulous planning, highly trained personnel, and constant upkeep. The engines, avionics, and stealth coatings must be inspected and serviced with precision. Even a small flaw could compromise an entire mission. Yet despite the expense and complexity, the B-2 remains irreplaceable. It is not just an aircraft, it is a strategic asset, a shadow that ensures security and projection of power on a global scale. Human stories in the shadow. Stories of the crews reveal another side of the bomber. Pilots recall the quiet intensity of flying missions over hostile skies, the hours of tension, the exhilaration of knowing that their aircraft is unmatched. Engineers speak of the obsessive attention to detail, of working under the pressure of secrecy, and of seeing a dream realized in metal and stealth. Every mission, every flight, every hangar inspection tells the story of human skill intertwined with technology, the living heartbeat of the B-2. The B-2 Spirit has left its mark on the world in ways both seen and unseen. Decades after its conception, it continues to embody the pinnacle of human ingenuity and ambition, a testament to what is possible when imagination meets science. Yet its story is more than metal and technology. It is a story of politics, power, and the delicate balance between secrecy and necessity. It is the story of a shadow that shapes the world simply by existing. The weight of legacy. No aircraft in history has carried such significance. The B-2 is more than a bomber. It is a strategic symbol, a deterrent whose mere presence can influence global decisions. Nations take note whenever the United States positions a B-2 overseas. It is a silent warning, a reminder that technology can alter the outcome of conflicts before the first shot is fired. Diplomats, generals, and strategists all recognize that this aircraft represents both capability and intent. Power exercised without fanfare, force applied invisibly. The legacy of the B-2 is therefore not measured only in missions completed or tons of ordnance delivered, but in its enduring effect on the psychology of modern warfare. Cost and controversy. The B-2 has never been a cheap endeavor. With each aircraft costing over $2 billion, including research, development, and maintenance, critics have questioned whether such expenditure is justified. Yet those who understand its purpose know that cost is secondary to capability. Every dollar spent buys invisibility, precision, and strategic dominance. Where hundreds of conventional aircraft might fail, a single B-2 can succeed without detection or compromise. The controversies only highlight the stakes of modern warfare, that in an era of rapid technological advancement, the investment in superior systems often outweighs quantity. Maintaining the invisible. Operating the B-2 is as much about dedication as it is about engineering. Stealth coatings must be meticulously applied and inspected. Engines require constant monitoring to maintain performance while minimizing heat signatures. Every flight is planned with precision, accounting for weather, radar coverage, and mission objectives. Behind the scenes, teams of engineers, technicians, and pilots work in unison to ensure the aircraft's perfection. Their devotion allows a 172-foot wingspan aircraft to remain undetectable across continents, a ghost in the sky. It is a rare combination of technology and human commitment, one that few other programs in history have matched. Modernization and the path forward. Even as the B-2 reaches maturity, the United States continues to innovate. Modernization programs update avionics, communications, and navigation systems to keep pace with evolving threats. New stealth materials, sensors, and software upgrades ensure the aircraft remains relevant against the most sophisticated air defenses. Yet the world is changing. Emerging technologies, new stealth platforms, and shifting global alliances demand that America look beyond even the B-2. This foresight has led to the development of the B-21 Raider, designed to inherit the spirit of its predecessor while integrating the next generation of stealth, autonomy, and survivability. Still, the B-2 remains unmatched in history, an aircraft whose influence will be felt for decades to come. A symbol of power and innovation. More than a machine, the B-2 represents human ingenuity. It stands at the intersection of science, art, and ambition. From the earliest sketches of Jack Northrop to the first flight across the desert skies, it embodies a dream realized, the ability to traverse the world unseen, delivering power with precision, and rewriting the rules of engagement. Its impact extends beyond military strategy. It inspires engineers, pilots, and dreamers, showing that the impossible can be achieved with vision, determination, and creativity. It reminds us that in the modern era, true mastery often lies not in what is visible, but in what is hidden in plain sight. The human dimension. Even the most advanced technology is incomplete without human courage and skill. B-2 pilots recount flights over hostile territory, hours of tension stretching into the night, the quiet confidence of knowing that their aircraft is unmatched. Engineers tell of countless hours in laboratories and hangars, shaping every wing, panel, and coating to perfection. Together, they form the living spirit of the B-2, the people behind the phantom, the heartbeat of a machine that moves like a shadow. The shadow endures. The world has changed since the first B-2 took to the skies. Nations have risen and fallen, wars have been fought, and technology has advanced. Yet through it all, the B-2 remains a sentinel of invisibility and precision. Its missions, its presence, and its very existence continue to influence strategy, diplomacy, and the perception of power. It is a reminder that in the age of technology, mastery of the unseen can be the greatest force of all, and as long as it flies, the shadow endures, a phantom guardian, a ghostly ambassador of human ingenuity, and a testament to the idea that true power does not announce itself. It moves silently, unseen, and unstoppable. Closing. Reflection. The B-2 Spirit is more than an aircraft. It is a story of vision, secrecy, and human achievement. It is the culmination of decades of ambition, engineering, and courage. And while the world may never fully see it, the influence of the B-2 will echo through history. It is the shadow in the sky, the silent force that shapes the fate of nations, and the enduring legacy of a dream that dared to become reality.